The Breakfast Show 2020 on KBC English Service.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and so every Monday morning during this month, we are focusing on awareness on breast cancer through brave stories of successfully battling the disease and sharing essential information that can empower you to seek diagnosis and treatment at an early stage before the disease spreads to other parts of the body. Remember, the theme for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month in Kenya is Give Hope, Save Lives. We're delighted to be joined this morning by Linda Kawera, who was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 21 while studying at the university. She had a long, painful, physically and mentally draining battle with the disease, but eventually emerged successfully and is using her experience and her love for music to support vulnerable families and with cancer patients through a wonderful idea called Project Brave. We also have Paula Kibagendi, who is a clinical nutritionist and has established an organization called Pure Health to promote the importance of health through the most natural ways possible. Paula is helping us understand why what we eat, when we eat, how much we eat is so critical towards a strong and healthy body that keeps diseases like cancer at bay.
On the importance of early detection and screening because it saves the lives of both men and women. Now, more than ever, we need to embrace and change the way we think about health and the measures we need to take to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities.
So that's the First Lady calling attention to the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Ladies, how important is it when someone in her position speaks in support of the campaign against breast cancer?
It's so important because sometimes we feel like people have forgotten people with cancer, living with cancer or going through treatment, because when COVID came, I'm sorry to bring this up.
It's okay.
Like everyone was concerned. Like if they put the same emphasis on cancer, we would not be having so many people going through something that they don't understand, the stigma that there is, because there's a lot of stigma around cancer. And hearing her speak about it, like, just brightened this whole month, because at least there's someone talking about it. Everyone else ignores it as if it's not happening, and it's all over.
Paula, did you get the same feeling that, you know, when COVID came, everyone was just talking about COVID-19?
Yeah. When COVID hit, it got the headline of it, and it's still the headline till today.
Yes.
And other medical conditions have been put on the back burner, which is very unfortunate because, for example, where cancer is involved, it is a streamline of treatments that can't take a pause. You just can't pause. Let's finish with COVID and then we go back to it. It doesn't work that way. So when she was able to highlight it, at least it gave light to those that, despite having COVID, we still need to consider the other people who still need treatment.
Right.
Yes.
Linda, you were diagnosed with breast cancer at a very young age. Share with us how you came to discover you had breast cancer.
So, in my family, there are a few people that had cancer. But of course, it was never coming to me because I was a good girl, I was young. And so I go to campus, and on a month like this, there was awareness stuff. And we were told, oh, you should be self-examining and things like that. And I don't know why, but as Africans, we find it hard to examine. Like, you wash your breast very quickly and move on with life. Touching it that way kinda feels wrong. It should not feel wrong, but it kinda felt wrong. So I only have brothers. So I actually have not didn't have a sister to talk about the changes and my mom was too strict. So I go to the bathroom and we were told to self-examine. So I tried it. And I felt there was something in my breast. I had never felt it before. So I went to my room. I had a roommate. I asked her, do you also have something in your left breast? So that I know if it's normal or... So she told me, no, you should have it checked. I didn't take it seriously. I stayed, the semester ended, we went back home. Then one day, me and my mom were seated, the stories, we finished all the stories, and I was like, by the way, I have something in my breast. That same year, 2011, we had lost my aunt, one of my aunts, to cancer in January. So when my mom had that, moms are, especially African moms, are somehow dramatic. My mom was already dramatic and called my dad and told him, hey, your daughter has something, there's something wrong with your daughter, let's take her to hospital. So we went to a small hospital, and then he said, it's nothing, people at your age have this, or have, what do they call, lumps in their breast. It's usually no big deal. And so he said, I can even remove it and you'll go home. In like 2 hours, you'll be okay and you'll go home. So when my dad had that, he said, no, you're removing it. And then he said, I will remove it, then take it to Nairobi. Like, I'm a village girl, I'm grown up in Meru. We'll take it to Nairobi and then we'll have it tested. Then my dad said, why don't we take the whole person to Nairobi rather than cut her up, so that we take something small to Nairobi. What if it's bad? So that's how I came to Nairobi. I made it to Nairobi.
Your tumor was malignant, which means that the cells were cancerous, right?
Yes.
Was that explained to you?
At first it was not, because the first time I came, the hospital I went to, I was handed over to a gynecologist. Because they also assumed that I was too young to have breast cancer anyway. So they just did surgery, removed it, and that was it. So by the time I went back to hospital, I was in pain, in a lot of pain. And now, that's when it was. But by the time they even explained it, I had Googled. I was like a Kamini doctor. I had Googled everything, so I knew I might have this thing, because I was really in a lot of pain. My breast was already starting to remove some fluids. Direct translation. But I now that's when I started now suspecting. So by the time I went back to the doctor again, to another doctor now, that's when now it hit that we needed to do something and do it fast. Because the first time it was actually just a tumor that had the capacity of being cancer, that was cancerous. It was not cancer yet. But after removing it, and it was removed wrongly, it was removed and I was not put on any medication, so it became stage 2 breast cancer.
So you've come to Nairobi, and it is a gyna that is treating you.
Exactly.
So it's the gyna that recommended that you go for
the surgery.
For the surgery.
Yes.
They got the tumor out.
Yes.
And got it badly.
Yes. And
So
gave
now
me
it
antibiotics
progressed.
and sent me home. Yeah.
Your whole family must have been shattered by the news of your diagnosis. But then who gave you the diagnosis?
They chose to give my mom. Again,
Dramatic.
So my mom is in the doctor's room and she starts screaming.
Wow.
So that's how I got my diagnosis from my mom. Like by the time she got out, I knew what it was.
So you were waiting?
Yeah, I was waiting and she was screaming and she was, you'd think, I'm sorry, I know she loves me and all, but you'd think it's her that has cancer and not me, because she started now screaming, and that's when I knew I had to be strong. So even after I got the news, I just sort of went numb. I tried shielding them, my family, from the dark side. I made it look like I was okay. Your doctor said that you were too young to lose a breast, and you didn't lose the entire breast. Tell us about the procedure you underwent. My doctor, I think, was concerned about my future endeavors of getting married and having children. So a doctor said, you're too young to lose a breast. Let us try all we can and at least keep it or keep some of it. And I really wanted that because my self-esteem has never been that big. Now, if I lost one breast, I kept wondering how would I walk around with one. So he did what we call an excision. He just cut a bit of it, removed the tumor, and cut the area surrounding it. So one of my breasts is a little smaller than the other, but it's hard to notice. But it's scars of war.
Oh, I like that. Scars of war. Yeah.
So it's something that reminds me of where I have come from.
But Paula, you also work with patients of breast cancer. So you have had stories that like Linda has shared, but you told me earlier that every case is different.
Yes. It's important to note that no one person is the same. Even with twins, they are not the same. So when we get into any nutritional treatment, we try and individualize it as possible. So let's say, for example, if I can use Linda as a case, if post-surgery we make sure we prescribe a certain diet so that she's able to, the food rather, is able to take her through the healing process, especially where the surgery site would be. Then if she was to start any form of treatment, be it chemotherapy, radiotherapy, brachytherapy, we try and counteract, because especially many who go through chemotherapy tend to have a lot of severe symptoms. This could be diarrhea, this could be vomiting, nausea, loss of appetite. So every individual, whatever it is that you go through, we try and counteract that. So if, for example, you tell me I've lost appetite and I have diarrhea, we try and counteract that with the food. So even the food that they have, we can't go and say, oh, go and get berries. If berries are not readily available, or if they're too expensive for you, it's very unrealistic. So I'd rather go and tell you, maybe because you have loss of appetite, I'll tell you consume some, like let's say take some, like lemons or pineapples. These tend to trigger hunger sometimes. So you can go try it out. I'll give you a week's period time. After 1 week, come back, give me feedback. If it's working, we continue with that, and then we introduce other foods. If it's not working, we will look for something else, switch it, so that we're able to get that appetite back.
My sincere hope that these activities will influence behavior change to allow for early detection of cancers through screening towards achieving prevention.
So Paula, Dr. Aman says awareness of and early detection and screening for cancer are critical for prevention, but the reality is that many women and men are still diagnosed when the disease has already taken a toll on the body.
It's true, early detection does help with the prevention of the cancer spreading. Just like Linda had said, had they done it earlier, it wouldn't have progressed to what it became. So the issue is there are many facilities that offer, or many organizations that offer the screening, free or at a subsidized price, but you find with how cancer has been put out there, it's scary. It's very, very scary. So many people are afraid of being part of either that statistic or finding out that you actually have it and go through the process. Because like earlier I had said, you find that there are people who know, like everyone knows someone who's gone through cancer. You've seen how people have gone through the treatment process. Some make it, some don't make it. And there's a lot of fear towards being the number that won't make it. So education, if given appropriately, people are prepared mentally, you'll find that if you're able to take that leap, just be courageous enough, go for that testing. If it's caught at stage 1, you're doing yourself a greater service than having to wait for it to get to stage 2 or stage 3, whereby now you have to go through heaps and heaps of treatment, a lot of medications which are very strong, and the body tends to now get weaker, especially if you're not prepared for it.
So last week, one of our guests said that she imagined a woman in some remote part of Kenya who cannot even raise bus fare from her home to a health facility, or a woman with no idea what breast cancer diagnosis would mean to her. Is this the plight of many women that you have met in the course of your work?
One too many. One too many. And you find there are so many ways you want to help them, but there are certain limitations to assisting. So for example, with chemotherapy is an expensive form of treatment, but it's very effective. And when I say expensive, aside from financially, I mean even mentally, it is very draining. And physically, if you're to see someone who goes through chemotherapy, it's very draining. So there are certain organizations that give funding to certain patients, like those women. So I'd say maybe I would ask, or rather have a plea for more organizations to come up to reach out to those women, so that they are able to get the help that they need. Because it would be very unfortunate. She doesn't have bus fare to come. So how would she afford chemotherapy?
Right.
Let alone even a consultation. So if they're able to reach out to these women, as much as yes, they're free screening, fine, it's been detected, but can you help with the healing process as well? If it's surgery, can they fund them for that surgery process? With nutrition, where we're involved, we have organizations like USA, WHO, WFP, UNICEF. They give donations of feeds. So on our part, we as clinical nutritionists, we can prescribe those feeds, because those feeds are manufactured in a way whereby they can help them during that the treatment process. So now if they can just get to those women, help them. If it's medication, fund for their medication. If it's their consultation, fund for their consultation, so that all of us work together in order to help this individual. Yeah.
Right. One of the skills, by the way, that Linda has learned during her battle with breast cancer is playing the saxophone, and she has actually come with the instrument to demonstrate what she can do, and she will be giving us an interlude. Are you ready?
Yeah, she is. Go for it, go for it. Come on, come on.
Come on, Linda.
Oh, God.
Go for it, Linda. Can't tell you why she learned the saxophone. It's connected to her treatment. She'll tell you.
Yeah, you tell us that after the break or now?
Yeah, tell us now when you're still hot. It's such a good story, you know.
All right. So I am sorry I left it hanging. I got nervous. So I had a lot of radiotherapy done, especially around my chest. So one of the things I was supposed not to be able to do very easily is things that required a lot of breath, because even going up and down the stairs I would really pant because the breathing was bad. So the saxophone would be the last thing my doctor would think I would ever be able to do. So because I was told I can't, I did it.
Wow.
Yes,
This girl. You'll play the saxophone for us when we come back from the break, even if it's just 5 seconds, right?
Before cancer, I sort of wasn't, I'm not as big now, but I used to be like physically, I thought that was beautiful, what I looked like. And then, you know, some of the treatment we go through make you retain a lot of water, so you gain weight. So you gain weight, you lose your hair, you lose maybe a breast or two, and there's nothing, like everyone wants to feel beautiful. Like, no matter what you're going through, there are days you just want to look pretty. And it gets to a point that there is a face to cancer, that you cannot look good because you have cancer. You cannot feel better because you are a survivor. Like, we are usually given a cotton, something that is a cloth that is stuffed with cotton to put on your
breast.
Yes, so that it looks like you have, and it's very uncomfortable. Like, it's too uncomfortable. We don't know what bras to wear. The bras we are supposed to wear, we can't afford. It's just like it's hard. That's how I found music, and I found it very therapeutic. And I believe we should have music therapy in this country, because it actually works. It actually works.
The Breakfast Show 2020 on KBC English Service.